Hello students, in this lecture we will discuss the most important news articles of today's newspaper. So let's get into the news analysis. The first article is in better health. There have been a remarkable strides in healthcare in the last few years, but challenges remain. So in this article, the author has been emphasized on the challenges in the healthcare sector. She talked about the primary healthcare sector, private sector in the healthcare, and uh, the government initiatives in healthcare sector in last few years, which primarily focuses on the bottom sections of the society. So uh, let's discuss this article. So in this article, the author has emphasized on the demographic dividend, India's demographic dividend. Uh, India will retain its demographic dividend for the next 3 decades. So, in this backdrop, ensuring universal access to healthcare for everyone is very important. She, uh, she also emphasized on the National Family Health Survey findings. National Family Health Survey 5 findings. Recently, National Family Health Survey released its report, and according to this report, India would achieve a total fertility rate of 2.1%. So the replacement level. So the replacement level is a population in a particular generation replacing. I mean, replace the next generation and the existing generation population will be same. So this is the replacement ratio, and fertility rate is generally a woman in her lifetime. How many children um, uh, uh, for a woman in her lifetime is a fertility rate. So according to this report, India's fertility rate is 2.1, that is very near to the total replacement ratio. And uh, the main reason, I mean, the main reason for declining the fertility rate among women is declining the maternal mortality and infant, particularly the infant mortality rate. Uh, Significant improvements in terms of the institutional deliveries uh, led to the lower infant mortality rate. Even BIMARU states like Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh have also made significant improvement in terms of institutional deliveries. These states have registered almost 89 percentage of institutional deliveries. And uh, so there are five interrelated challenges which are pervading the population. So what are those challenges? One is the cardiovascular diseases, cancers, chronic respiratory diseases, and diabetes. They are major problems among the people, and they are also considered as a non-communicable diseases. The burden of non-communicable diseases have been increasing among the people, and the reasons for the increasing spread of non-communicable diseases is are unhealthy diet, lack of physical activity, and use of tobacco, alcohol. These are the main reason for the increasing spread of increasing intensity of non-communicable diseases among the people, right? And here the data is also highlighted. The intensity of non-communicable diseases have been increased from 38% in 1990 to 62% in 2016. So, and uh, the obesity, the levels of obesity among people have been significantly increased in different states. For example, in Delhi, citizens 38% were found to be obese, followed by Tamil Nadu. So other states like Punjab, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh also see people with increasing, levels of obesity. And the solution for this is building awareness and exhorting people to lead a healthy lives will save millions of people from the healthcare related vulnerabilities. Okay. And this also leading a healthy life will also decelerate the premature death. uh, See, every country have a life expectancy rate for its population. Premature death is uh, a person dies before the life expectancy year. So this is a premature death. Along with the non-communicable diseases, air pollution is also a leading cause for the lower life expectancy and premature deaths. So in this article, the author also emphasized on state of infrastructure. For example, states uh, different states have emphasized on the primary healthcare centers, especially government emphasized on primary healthcare centers. Tertiary and quaternary healthcare services are to somewhat neglected by the government. But on the other hand, the private dispensaries, the private healthcare institutions have larger presence in the tertiary and quaternary services. So they are bridging the gap of healthcare, uh, providing healthcare services. Right. So, but the problem is in urban areas, the challenge is to bridge the gap between hospital services between large urban agglomerations and Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. There's a huge difference between the healthcare services provided by the private sector or the public sector, uh, between the large urban agglomerates like metropolitan cities and Tier 1, Tier 2 cities. And a recent Lancet publication of 2023 found that the provision of core services is far from across state-run district hospitals. Okay, so core health services is far from uniform. So different states have a different kind of healthcare architecture, healthcare infrastructure. So it is far from a uniform provision, right? So this has been exposing the existing drawbacks and loopholes in the Indian healthcare system, right? So the problem of higher vacancies at the district hospital. So, 40% of the vacancies in the healthcare dispensaries is also one of the major reason which impacts the accessibility and affordability of healthcare services for the people. So, apart from this, other problems center around low health insurance penetration among people. So, in India, health insurance penetration is very low because of several reasons. People lack awareness about the health insurance, and the center and states have no uniform policy. There's a bit complex and uh, confusion over the healthcare policies and healthcare penetration. Higher levels of illiteracy are some of the reasons India still does not have higher insurance penetration among the people, right? And over the past 3 years, more than 4 crore Indians have brought health insurance. They have bought health insurance. The government started Pradhan Mantri Ayushman Bharat program, right? So Ayushman Bharat program provides insurance to every 10 crore poor households up to 5 lakh of hospital expenses. So when government is providing health insurance, the insurance penetration has significantly increased among the bottom 10 crore poor population. Millions remained uninsured. Outpatient doctor consultation costs, diagnostics, and drugs account for biggest out-of-pocket personal expenditure. In India, the problem of out-of-pocket expenditure, high out-of-pocket expenditure, is making healthcare less affordable and less accessible to the people. If healthcare is less accessible and less affordable, it also impacts the productivity of individual and human capital as well. So the other dimension which has been highlighted by the author is the artificial intelligence in the healthcare sector and digital technologies. Artificial intelligence and other digital technologies are disruptive technologies in the healthcare sector. So, because it involves the ethical issues as well, the ethical issues and social issues as well, and uh, there is no inadequate study on the impact of these technologies on human healthcare, right? So the lack of accountability for machine-made medicinal decisions. They lack the accountability, unlike the uh, human-made medical decisions. So we cannot make machines accountable for their decisions. So this is a bit complex issue, and there needs to be a larger research should be undertaken in this regard. Uh, India has shown how impossible can be achieved. So what is needed is out-of-the-box thinking to resolve steel ship of storm arrives, like for example the pandemic like a situation. So it exposes loopholes in our healthcare system. So in the very same way, we should be prepared, uh, and we should make our healthcare system more robust so that we could be able to meet the future challenges, right? So in this backdrop, let's look into so in this backdrop, let's look into healthcare in India, some data and a few issues in healthcare sector. Right, the healthcare industry comprises. This is what the healthcare sector comprises: hospitals, medical devices, clinical trials, outsourcing, telemedicine, medical tourism, health insurance, medical equipment, etc. Now, India is known for medical tourism. People from Southeast Asia, then West Asia visit India because of lower cost and um affordability and accessibility, right? And telemedicine has also made rapid strides during COVID-19 pandemic. People shifting towards the digital means of consultation. So, National Digital Health Mission is one step in this regard. So now India's healthcare system is categorized into private sector and public sector. Uh, the public healthcare system comprises, limited presence secondary and tertiary care institutions in key cities and focuses on providing basic healthcare facilities like community healthcare centers, primary healthcare centers in rural areas. Now, however, on the other hand, the private sector has the largest presence in the overall Indian healthcare system. So, majority of secondary, tertiary, and quaternary care institutions are concentrated in Tier 1 metros, Tier 1 and Tier 2 cities. Okay, metro cities like Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata. In these areas, in these cities, majority of the private medical institutions are located. For every country, healthcare expenditure is very important to develop the human resources. As per Economic Survey 2022, India's public expenditure on healthcare stood at 2.1% of GDP. To 21-22, it was 1.8 percentage. So and 1.3 percentage in 29 and 20. In the backdrop of COVID-19 pandemic, it is important to increase the expenditure on healthcare sector. For example, several developed countries spend around 4% of the GDP on healthcare sector. Some of the challenges in the healthcare sector are inadequate access, lack of accessibility of the healthcare, and lower budgetary allocations for the healthcare sector, lack of preventive care in the healthcare sector. So is also one of the major challenge in the healthcare sector, and lack of medical research. Yes, in fact, ICMR engaged in medical research in India, but private institutions be uh, should also be made part of the India's medical research architecture. And the dominance of the private sector that increases the out-of-pocket expenditure of people and makes healthcare less affordable and less accessible. Right, now, healthcare professionals, there's a huge vacancy of doctors and healthcare professionals in the hospitals, the public sector hospitals. So therefore, it is a major challenge providing universal healthcare for the people. Right, so lack of healthcare infrastructure is also a major challenge. For example, several villages do not have a primary healthcare centers at the block level. At the block level, there are primary healthcare centers, but they lack infrastructure as well. Right, so even though health and wellness centers have been established, they are established at the block level, not exactly at the village level. And some of the initiatives undertaken by the government in the healthcare sector include National Health Mission, Ayushman Bharat, provide insurance coverage to 10 crore poor people. Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, and National Medical Commission is established to regulate the medical education. PM National Dialysis Program to look after the dialysis needs of patients, and Janani Sishu Suraksha Karikram. This is regarding the pregnant and lactating mothers. Okay. So the next news article is Narega's attendance app rollout after the field visit. After one field visit, recently the government introduced National Mobile Monitoring System. Okay. This is a national mobile monitoring system. Now, this system makes the attendance of Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act workers more foolproof. right? So this device registers the attendance of workers, the first attendance, and it also take a photo of a worker, and after 4 hours, uh, then the second photo will be taken by this National Mobile Monitoring Network. So, uh, so app to capture the attendance of workers under National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. Okay, and uh, the Minister of Rural Development uh, uh, says that this national mobile monitoring system is introduced after it was rolled out during a field visit. So we rolled out this network and it is foolproof. Uh, so therefore, it is imperative to introduce national mobile monitoring system to make the Manrega more transparent, more accountable, and beneficiaries of the Manrega programs receive the benefits. The genuine beneficiaries receive the government program benefits, right? So the capturing of attendance for all workers, except capturing of attendance for all workers under the National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme to National Mobile Monitoring Network app has been made mandatory from 1st of January 2023. So the center has made the capturing of attendance through this device made mandatory. So now worker supervisors are responsible for capturing attendance along with the geotagged photographs of the workers through national mobile monitoring. So the photographs will be geotagged and their attendance will also be captured. Okay. And this is important in the backdrop of the civil society organizations protesting against the rollout of national mobile monitoring network. So they are emphasizing on people lack awareness about this attendance. I mean, attendance system. Several people have lack bank accounts, Aadhaar cards. So therefore, they have been suggesting that it is better to continue with the old system. Okay. Um, so let's look into the details of Manrega scheme. Manrega provides a legal guarantee of 100 days of employment in every financial year. So 100 days of legal guarantee of work in a financial year for to adult member of any rural household willing to do work related to unskilled manual work. Uh, right? What are the objectives of Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act? So this scheme was introduced in 2005 through an act of parliament. So it provides right to work. So improving the purchasing power of rural people, primarily semi-skilled the people who are living in poverty line, below poverty line in rural India. So it attempts to bridge the gap between rich and poor in the country. So roughly one third of the workers stipulated work must be done by women. Okay, so this provision make women more financially independent, and that leads to the woman empowerment as well. So yes, Manrega focuses on economic and social empowerment of women because once they are economically independent, their decision-making power will also increase. Manrega provides green and decent work, sustainable work because they work on restoration of canals and recharging works related to recharging the underground water tables. They also work on forestation activities. So they generate the community resources, so they improve the existing community resources, maintain the resources. And social audit of Manrega work uh, is made mandatory to make it more transparent and accountable. In schemes, programs like Manrega, there is a problem of ghost beneficiaries and corruption, leakage of funds. So therefore, social audit ensures more transparency and accountability and prevent corruption in this scheme. And so that actual beneficiaries of the scheme will receive the benefits. So Manrega works address the climate change and vulnerability, right? So they work. Climate change and vulnerability. Here you can see the logo of Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. So what is National Mobile Monitoring Network? So National Mobile Monitoring Network app permits taking real-time attendance of workers. As we have discussed, National Mobile Monitoring Network will help taking attendance of the workers and the workers along with the geotagged photos of the work done. And this network will help improve the citizen oversight over the program, right? So this is all about the National Mobile Monitoring Network and the Manrega program. The next news article is Chief Election Commissioner in Assam. Uh, Delimitation and NRC can be simultaneous process, right? So, Election Commission of India conducting a delimitation exercise in the state of Assam. Indian Constitution Article 170 provided for the delimitation of the constituencies through a delimitation commission after every census, right? So in this backdrop, in a comprehensive and coordinated manner. So, such cybercrimes, uh, the nature of cybercrimes have become so serious that a comprehensive and coordinated response is required. So, the safety net, the safety net, and moving forward, what were the measures taken, and what are the areas the government should focus more on, and areas need work. Okay, so the paradigm shift in perspective towards security risks. So greater awareness should be provided to the people so that they can minimize the risk of cyber crime related incidents. So more power to physical security function and fewer budget constraints. More budgetary allocations should be made for the cyber security. So areas that need work. So for example, security standards, regulatory framework, need of an overhaul, and lack of confidence to face natural disasters, sharp increase in physical security incidents, and terrorism, fire and corporate espionage are some of the major threats. Okay, so uh, areas that need government attention. So in cybersecurity, um, enhancing and further strengthening the cybersecurity architecture, we need greater public-private partnership, and there should be actionable efforts on women employee safety. This improves the safety and security of women and also shows a positive impression on the workforce participation, the female workforce participation in the total workforce. And also review the Private Security Agencies Regulation Act 2005, national benchmarks on the deployment of security personnel in industries. So there should be a national benchmarks as well on the deployment of security personnel in industries. So this is all regarding the cybercrime and enhancing the cybersecurity architecture in India. So the next news article is India to host meeting of security advisors from SCO countries. Right. So before going into this article, let's look into the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. So this article is about Shanghai Cooperation Organization. So this is a permanent intergovernmental international organization created in 2001. Okay. So the SCO charter was signed in 2002 and entered into force in 2003. Okay. So a common charter, SCO have a common charter and it was signed in 2002 and entered into force 2003. Now, the Eurasian political, economic, military organization aiming to maintain peace, security, stability in the region. The Eurasian region comprises of Asia and Eastern Europe. Okay. So this together called as Eurasia. So now Shanghai Cooperation Organization ensures this is a political, economic, and military organization, and it maintains peace, security, stability in the region. Right. So it is generally seen as a counterweight to North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO. So this is a 9-member North Atlantic Treaty Organization is a intergovernmental security alliance. Western Europe and the USA, Canada, they have come together to establish a common security architecture in the backdrop of threat from the Soviet Union, the then Soviet Union. And this Shanghai Cooperation Organization is a 9-member economic and security bloc. So that has emerged as the largest trans-regional and international organization. Okay, and here you can see Shanghai Cooperation Organization countries. What are the countries which are part of Shanghai Cooperation? Russia, Tajikistan. This is a Central Asian region, together called as Central Asian region. China, India, and Pakistan are member countries of Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Right. So India is not a founding member of Shanghai Cooperation Organization. So both India and Pakistan have joined Shanghai Cooperation Organization as full members during in 2017. Right. So now let's come into the news article. India to host meeting of security advisors of SCO countries, Shanghai Cooperation Organization countries. Okay, so in this meeting, India will host the national security advisors of all 9 Shanghai Cooperation Organization members. So they'll discuss the most important and critical issues in the Eurasian region. For example, they will discuss the Russia-Ukraine war situation and the security situation in Afghanistan also, because the security situation in Afghanistan is very volatile and pose a threat to the entire region, especially after the taking over of Afghanistan by Taliban after overthrowing the democratically elected government. Even um, Taliban may host the organizations like Lashkar-e-Toiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed, ISIS, Khorasan province. So all terrorist organizations may pose a serious threat to the organizations, especially the Central Asian region, which to which Russia considered as backyard. Its backyard. So they'll discuss all the important issues concerning the security of the region. So they mostly deal with the terrorism, the issue of terrorism, right? So now, since China and Pakistan also members of Shanghai Cooperation Organization, they will also participate in this NSA meet through uh, video conferencing. So they participate in this meeting virtually. Also remember this year India is hosting the SCO summit. So in this backdrop, this meeting is a preparatory meeting before the SCO full-scale summit, right? So this NSA talks will deal with recent developments in Afghanistan, especially the security situation and humanitarian issues in Afghanistan, and also help Russian consultations on uh, advancing consultations on Russia's plans for the Eurasian economic bloc, right? So creation of an entire Eurasian economic bloc with favorable trade terms equivalent to a free trade area. So this benefits the region in terms of significantly increasing the intra-bloc trade among the member countries. So this is regarding the Shanghai Cooperation Organization and meeting of the national security advisors in India. So the next news article is India under fire at WTO for avoiding questions on MSP. So MSP, please remember a minimum supporting price. MSP is a minimum support prices. India announces minimum support prices for 22 crops before the sowing season of Kharif and Rabi. Right. So MSP provides a basic amount of a basic price for crops which are part of the MSP architecture. However, WTO consider MSP as a trade distorting mechanism because this is considered as the subsidy from the government side to the people. Okay, but on the other hand, India have been defending MSP, saying that MSP is not a trade distorting factor. In fact, MSP is provided to protect farmers uh, from the vagaries of the market and from the vagaries of nature. So, in fact, even providing MSP to procure food grains to provide food security to our population, distribution of food grains through public distribution system. So for this is very important, and WTO should not consider MSP as trade distortion, right? So see, the WTO provide some flexibility to developing countries. The flexibility is the total subsidies provided by the government to the people for a particular sector should not increase 10%. However, the MSP increases the 10% threshold uh, provided by the WTO. However, several developed countries like US, Australia, Canada, and European Union, Thailand have opposing India's excessive MSP and procurement because see, when India has been providing subsidies to farmers, so it encourage farmers to cultivate the crops which are under MSP. Okay, so large scale production, India may uh, dump its products in the international market, or for example, if India have more rice and wheat already procured, India will not import enough rice and wheat from other countries. For example, these countries are producing these agricultural products, so they consider uh, MSP as a trade restriction mechanism. So therefore, they are fighting against India's MSP. So we already discussed why what is the stand of Indian government over MSP. India has breached the 10% ceiling already. So understand peace clause. So what is a peace clause? A peace clause is some exceptional circumstances. If a country exceeds the 10% limit provided by the WTO, this peace clause can be invoked. So this justifies the increase in 10% limit. Now this peace clause was uh, you know started after the Bali meeting. So this peace clause was upheld during the Bali summit. So remember, so understand, the peace clause allows developing countries So the peace clause allows developing countries to breach 10% ceiling without invoking legal action by members, right? So this is not distorting, and it is subjected to following conditions. One is it should not be distorting the global trade and not affecting the food security of other members. Okay, it is subjected to food security and also subjected to distortion of global trade. So in this backdrop, let's look into the MSP. The UPSC already asked a question on MSP, so this is very important topic. So what is MSP? MSP is the rate at which government generally produce crops from farmers, right? And it is based on calculation of at least 1.5 times the cost of production incurred by farmers. Okay, so this is generally at least 1.5 times the cost incurred by the farmers. MSP is a minimum price for any crop that the government considers as remunerative for farmers and uh, hence deserving of support. Okay. Now, what are the crops which are included in the MSP? Now, we are not discussing all the crops which are part of MSP, rather, but the MSP is decided based on the recommendations of Commission for Agricultural Costs and Prices. So, before every sowing season, both Kharif and Rabi, 22 mandated crops, and fair and remunerative prices for sugarcane will be provided. Okay. So, this ensures that the market is not volatile, and it also ensures that the farmers get remunerative prices for this produce. Now, Commission for Agricultural Costs and Prices is an attached office of the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. So let's look at some of the advantages of the MSP. The minimum support prices are guarantee of price for the produce from the government. So this is not a legal guarantee, but this is a guarantee by the government on the produce of the farmers. So already we have discussed this. MSP is announced before sowing season so that farmers can make an informed decision. So major objectives are to support the farmers from distress sales, right? For example, if markets are volatile, if agriculture product dump the markets, then the prices of commodities will automatically reduce. So therefore, MSP protect farmers from the distress sales, and this is a major source of procurement for the public distribution system. Uh, Subsidized food grain distribution through public distribution system to the uh, people who are below poverty line. So it ensures adequate food grain production in the country, and MSP thus increases farmers' income, and this also incentivizes farmers to invest in new technologies, and it is helps in doubling the farmers' income. That was the government's ambitious goal of that goal of doubling farmers' income. So in case of market price for the commodity is falls below the already announced MSP due to bumper production. So the government agencies purchase the entire quantity offered by the farmers. The announced minimum support prices. So this is about the minimum support prices and how minimum support prices have been exceeding the threshold limit of 10%, which has been given by the WT4 to developing countries like India. And India has been exceeding the 10% threshold limit because of the MSP, and how India has been defending its exceeding 10%. Okay. So the next news article is China ramping up bailout packages to Pak and Sri Lanka. Okay. China ramping up bailout packages for Pakistan and Sri Lanka. See, it is believed that China follows debt trap diplomacy, right? And China provides loans to countries which are part of BRI at a higher interest rate. That makes them those receiving countries. Uh, uh, I mean, they are unsustainable terms. They are unable to repay the loans. So in return, China has been acquiring the assets in the respective countries. For example, in the case of Sri Lanka, Hambantota Port is an example where the Chinese government have acquired Hambantota Port for 99 years lease. Since Hambantota is a strategic location, it poses a security threat for India as well. Not just Sri Lanka, Pakistan is also one such example. Now both these countries have been going through an economic crisis. So China has handed over 240 billion worth of bailout loans to 22 developing countries at risk of default over the past 2 decades. So China has been providing the bailout package. So in case any country which is part of BRI and which has been struggling economically, the China has been providing the package, so financial assistance at a higher interest rates. Okay, and almost all funds went to the Belt and Road Initiative countries. So, Belt and Road Initiative is a flagship infrastructure development program molded by the Chinese President Xi Jinping. Okay? And such as Sri Lanka, Turkey, Pakistan have received such bailout packages. And they are mostly low and middle income nations. They are not rich nations, but they are mostly low and middle income nations. So, so they received Chinese loans for the infrastructure development. Okay, so around the world, BRI nations have come under strain because of increasing levels of inflation, increasing interest rates, and a lingering COVID-19 impact. So all these factors have made these countries to reel under the severe economic crisis. So because of this economic crisis, they are unable to repay their loans already uh, taken from China. And also, China gave loans uh, in an unsustainable terms with a higher interest rate than the multilateral financing agencies like World Bank. Okay, so China says that more than 150 countries have signed Belt and Road Initiative, a trilateral dollar global infrastructure. So this is a $1 trillion. Sorry, so this is a $1 trillion global infrastructure push unveiled by President Xi Jinping. Okay. Now, why China has been providing the bailout packages? Because if these countries default, they will not pay the loans already taken by Chinese. So therefore, the Chinese have been thinking that if they provide a bailout package, these countries will not default and they will repay the loans. And higher interest rates will also put China at the advantageous position in those countries. Okay. Right. So, in this backdrop, so even though the multilateral developing countries like World Bank and USA have been providing much higher financial assistance than China, but China's bailout packages, financial assistance have been significantly increasing in the recent past. So, in this backdrop, let's discuss about the Belt and Road Initiative. What exactly is the Belt and Road Initiative? Okay, so um, more than 100 countries signed agreements with China to cooperate on BRI projects like roadways, railways, ports, and other infrastructure. Right. So it is announced by Chinese President Xi Jinping led regime in 2013. So it was announced in 2013. So it encompassed five kinds of activities. One is policy coordination, trade promotion, physical connectivity, renminbi. So renminbi is a Chinese currency. Renminbi internationalization. For example, dollar enjoys a dominant position in the international market. In the very same way, Chinese renminbi is also trying to internationalize its currency. Okay, people-to-people contacts. So recently, we also heard about India's plans to internationalize rupee in the backdrop of West sanctions on Russia and India's oil payments, right? So India has also been trying to internationalize rupee. Okay, so this benefit India because it reduces the over reliance on dollars. Okay, uh, and next, new Silk Road. So what are the components of Belt and Road Initiative? Okay, so new Silk Road economic belt one and maritime Silk Road. This is through sea oceans and this connects through a road and railway network. So this encompasses trade and investment hubs to the north of China. So trade and investments. So reaching out to Eurasia, a link via Myanmar to India. In fact, India is not part of the Belt and Road Initiative. India understood China's malicious intentions mooting this idea. Okay, so this in fact also distort India's indigenous industry, the domestic industry, dumping of cheap Chinese-made goods. Okay, and will also expose India to global supply shocks because India has been now trying to achieve the supply chain resilience through programs like Atmanirbhar Bharat. Okay, and in fact, the Belt and Road Initiative, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, has also been violating India's sovereignty, and China is not taking into consideration India's concerns regarding the violation of its sovereignty. So therefore, India is not part of BRI. So maritime Silk Route. So it begins via South China Sea, going towards Indochina, Southeast Asia, and around Indian Ocean, reaching Africa and Europe. These are two components of the Belt and Road Initiative: New Silk Road Economic Belt and Maritime Silk Road. So you very often hear about China's debt trap diplomacy. So China using debt rather than aid. For example, several countries provide aid. For example, countries like US. In fact, India also announcing aid to its neighboring countries in its every budget. So China provide debt instead of aid at a unsustainable at a higher interest. Establish a dominant position in the international development finance market. Okay, so this is also dubbed as debt trap market. So China's Belt and Road Initiative is plunging nations into massive debt. Okay, so this is plunging nations into a massive debt accumulation of debt because it is largely unsustainable. Below, you can see the map of the Belt and Road Initiative. So one is the green is overland, yeah, route of Belt and Road Initiative, and second the pink maritime, the violet maritime route of Belt and Road Initiative. So how it connects Beijing, um, Vietnam, Singapore, Indonesia, Colombo. When India is Kolkata is also connected. Further, of course, Chinese have already established a port in Gwadar. So it connects both Africa and uh, Europe as well. Okay, so this is about the Belt and Road Initiative and China's debt trap diplomacy and how China has been increasing its bailout packages. So that's all for today. That's all for today's discussion. Thank you.